Okay, this is not going to be our typical conversation about scripture. This is just a conversation where we don't name people and we just talk about things and concepts. Okay? Okay?
Yep.
Having a relational conversation. Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about relationships and community. So when you guys, if we went to a big church building for services once a week for 2 hours, a lot of these things wouldn't really come up because there's so many people in those buildings, and then everybody kind of goes home and has many different types of lives. You understand that?
Yeah.
So sometimes that's why people like going to big folk churches, because I mean there's lots of different reasons why you can go there, but one thing that can happen is people who don't want accountability can kind of hide there. But the thing is when you're in a small community and you're going house to house and you're in just small meetings, everything becomes more visible. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if you wear a modest bathing suit to the beach in the summer, you're probably not going to really be noticeable because everybody's in bathing suits, and people with the least modest bathing suits kind of catch a lot of attention. But if you wore your modest bathing suit to one of our Sabbath meetings, you might get the most attention because of the context. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The solution to pollution is dilution. So some people hide their pollution with a lot of dilution as their solution. Okay, so when you're in a small community, little things that might not seem like a little or a big deal, they are a bigger deal than they would be because they're more visible, right? So that means you have to be more, you have to have more awareness, and you have to be more careful about your thoughts and your actions and your words, right? You
Yep.
understand? There's a greater impact. There's a greater impact. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that rules change, because the etiquette is probably still mostly the same. It just means that it's getting attention. So in a big service, do you think everybody, let's say the youth there, have to invite every one of the youth that attend that congregation when they have a party or a
Yeah.
gathering or
Nope.
trip or an event? Or no, right? But when the number gets smaller and smaller and becomes maybe seemingly more and more doable and more obvious, it just gets hairier. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you guys think that you are required to include everybody in your community in
No.
events during the week?
Nope.
What do you think?
Nope.
Do you think so? So that means that maybe somebody won't, they could invite everybody else but you.
Yeah.
And that would be fine with you?
That'd be fine with me.
Yeah.
Would that be fine with you?
I mean, like, if they invited our whole family and, like, the Campbells, that would just be weird.
You just named people.
Or, like, if they put us and other people, then it's just, like, I don't know, the Mars or whatever.
Dude, speak up.
Don't
Oh my
name.
gosh, if they just invite everyone and except for me, like, that'd just be weird. But maybe it's just, like, a teen thing. And just, like, a bunch of teens go, like, it's fine if they don't invite me.
You're saying it would be weird to disclude part of a family.
Yeah.
Because a family's a unit.
Yep.
But that, unless it's like
Unless it's, like,
ladies
someone's-
or youth,
Yeah,
like there's,
that's like that.
right. So then they're only including part of a family. But if they're discluding one part of a family, that would be weird. Is
Yep.
that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Because a family is a unit unless you're isolating an age demographic. Good point, except for it's hard to not name names. Quite the exercise, quite the exercise. Okay, so what do you think would happen if we made everybody invite everybody? Like, how would that, if we made you invite every person in your, well, let's just say it's a teen event, okay? What if they invited all the teens but you? Would that be okay with you?
I think it would be kind of weird.
You think it would be kind of weird? What do you think?
Kind of weird. I wouldn't really care.
Kind of weird, but you wouldn't care.
I would do things.
Well, just because you're fine with finding something else to do you think it's weird?
Yep.
You think it's weird to not invite all the teens?
It would be weird if you invited
Well, it's like
your
you
brother
invited one
as
from
a
the
teen,
family
but not
and
you.
not the other. Like,
What's that?
it would be fine, like, if they didn't invite us two, but like, if
Okay, so you're saying if the two teens in the same family weren't invited,
Yeah.
that would be fine.
unless it's just like just older kid ones, but like if they invite like younger kids and
Like older teens and younger, like if it's an age cutoff between
Yeah.
you two, that would be fine. So again, you're saying within a household, but you're saying if other families' teens wanted to get together and your household wasn't included, that would not be weird to you?
no,
That's not weird to you? Is that weird to you? Would that be weird to you?
No.
If our family just was discluded in an age demographic?
I don't even know.
I don't care.
Depends on the circumstances always.
Depends on the circumstances always.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. There's circumstances. Okay, so what do you think if we made you guys always include everybody? Do you think that could have some bad outcomes?
yep.
Why? What could be a bad outcome for you?
Well,
You don't invite everyone into your personal life.
You don't invite everyone into your personal life. So you want to reserve the right to choose.
You have the right to choose.
You have the right to choose who you want to have on a personal level.
Yep.
And if I forced you to include somebody that you didn't want to include,
You can't force a relationship.
you can't force a relationship.
So it doesn't really work. You need to try.
So do you think that if I forced it for you, do you think that would impair my relationship with you?
No?
Like you're a parent-child, if I said you have to include them?
Well, it depends on your age. Like little kids always have like maybe like grudges or something. But as you get older, you're not gonna like argue.
So you would just suck it up
Yeah.
and you wouldn't hold it against me. You just think that's dumb.
And be very
what's
cringe. You'd be awkward.
Gracious of you.
very
You think it's
awkward.
cringe and awkward, but you wouldn't hold it against me.
Yeah.
You just disagree with me. Very gracious. What do you think, Oz? Do you think you'd hold that against me if I was forcing you to include somebody that you didn't want to hang
yeah,
with?
probably would.
You'd hold it against me?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it could impede our relationship.
Yeah.
Why do you think you would hold that against me?
I don't know. Because some people I wouldn't want, and just like my personal life. I don't know.
It's kind of like, for whatever my reasons were for doing that, I'm asking you to carry the weight of it, though, right? Like I'm not
It
carrying
depends
the
who
weight
you.
of
It
it.
depends who you want me to be with, though. Like some people, it just depends.
It would vary from person to person, but I'm basically I'm putting a heavy load on your back and not lifting, like not necessarily lifting the same weight, right? I'm asking you to lift weight. Okay, whatever. Why do you think that some people have better chemistry?
Because they have more things in common.
Because they're more positive.
More things in
Depressed people
common.
don't have chemistry.
Depressed people don't have chemistry. Okay, well they might. With some misery loves company. That's the saying. So they probably do
It's
actually.
not. It's not. It's just they force it.
It's a
It's
different.
not
It's a
real.
different chemistry.
It doesn't make them happy inside.
Well, they're not happy. So you like happy energy.
Yeah.
You like to be around happy energy. Okay. So energy is something. The energy somebody brings. You said interests, right, Oswald? What people like to do, right? Because like if you're going mountain biking, probably not everybody wants to do that, right? So some people you would invite and some people you wouldn't, just based on interests. You're saying energy. If their energy isn't good, you don't really want to have them around. Is that right? Archie?
Yeah.
Right. Energy. Did you know, like, even if you're spending like day in and day out, sometimes even other things like your circadian rhythm. Like, you could have somebody who stays up late and their best energy's at night, and somebody whose best energy's first thing in the morning. There's a little bit of a leftover burger there, and then I'll have lunch in a minute. So that would be a conflict, right? Because by the time somebody's kind of like winding down and ready to like go to bed, somebody else is just like, that's their most exciting time, right? Is that a moral issue? A circadian rhythm?
No.
Is somebody wrong or right?
No.
How would, like, sometimes you said happy energy, Archie, but like some people might have different energy, and they might not be like an extrovert or super like high energy. They might just be more of a quiet person. Is that wrong of them?
No.
It's not wrong, it's just different, right?
Just like vibes of the person.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're, the word you use, depressed or anything. They might just have a different personality. They might prefer quieter, might just do a puzzle, and they might just be quieter like that, right? Introverted, or like to draw, or whatever, right?
Yep.
Less chatty.
True, but sometimes you can notice character behaviors too.
Yeah, sometimes there are character behaviors. Like sometimes people do have different standards. And that could get into moral things, right? Like if somebody always wants something to go their way, like there's no give and take, then that could be a selfish problem, right? Or if it doesn't go their way, if they get upset about it, right? That becomes a problem.
Or they're always down or always up.
Or just too much mood, you're saying. Like maybe a lot of emotional energy because the person is
Is it Eeyore?
like maybe Eeyore, or
Yeah.
maybe like,
Tigger?
yeah, but sometimes people are drawn to different energies, so that's where it's like, it's hard, you know, unless they're doing something that's explicitly moral. Now, even when something's moral, it doesn't necessarily mean the culpability is the same for everybody. For example, I had somebody in my life that required a lot more energy because they didn't have a mom that maybe helped them learn as many things, and they weren't as validated, so they had more insecurities. So they needed more help with tasks, and they needed to have more like kind of cheerleading or validation. And I found that very draining, even though I knew it wasn't, I didn't think that they were being malicious or ill intent. I didn't think they were like trying to have an ill intent toward me, but it's just, that's a real effect that sometimes you just don't have extra energy for that, right? And that person might be less developed in certain categories. Maybe they were more developed than me in some other different areas, but that lack of competence in certain areas was just very draining. And maybe in a certain season of my life, because another thing is seasons, I would have had that extra energy to share. And then during other seasons, you just don't have the extra energy. Like there's no vacancy for that, right? And that's nobody's really fault, but somebody has to kind of carry the load. And sometimes when you just tell that person to carry your own load, that can be offensive to them, especially if they have like rejection in their history. Like they've been rejected a lot by different people or friends or family members. Then that's a big trigger for them, right? So it doesn't mean that I'm like, it doesn't even mean that I would do better if I was in their shoes. Because if I remember when you see that video where people start at different places on the race line, because maybe if I was born into their family with their brain and the opportunities they were given, I might not even do as well as they're doing. Right? You can't really know, because so that's the problem, where sometimes you think it's just that person, but they might not have all the tools that you've had.
Yeah, diet and environment.
Diet, totally. Environment. And those might be even hidden things, like maybe they have mold in their wall.
Yeah.
Right? They might have like mold toxicity, or maybe they had like the mercury off gassed a lot in their filling, in their dental work, and they have heavy metals or certain bacteria they picked up from a certain food they ate.
Lots of things.
There's so many things, or low iron, so their energy's low. Like there's so many things going
Too
on.
much sugar.
Too much sugar. So there's so many things going on that sometimes you think that person's just, and you make it moral. And it might be like even a percentage thing. It might be like, it might be like 20% a moral problem, but you're equating like 80% of it to a moral problem. And do you see the problem? How convoluted it is? So you could cast a lot of judgment on somebody and you don't really know why, or you don't know how culpable. Now, it doesn't mean that the reality of the situation is different. Because if I don't have extra energy and that person needs extra energy, it says, carry one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. It says that. But actually, like within a few verses of that verse, it also says, bear your own load. It talks about bearing your own load. So it's kind of one of these give and take things where we have to learn to bear our own load and then help, like Paul
I
said.
think that was for brothers and sisters. You don't want to bear the load of the world.
Well, it says give first to the household of faith. So there is a priority to brothers and sisters in Christ. But if you can get beyond that, it's also helpful because when you have a societal debt, you probably are going to pay anyway. Like that's why some people, maybe they didn't have a family and they open like a home for kids transitioning out of foster care or orphanages. Those aren't necessarily brothers and sisters in Christ at the time, but there is like a societal debt.
I think you have to be careful with that though. It depends where you are in your life. If you are a mother and a father and you have 4 kids and all these other
That's why I said priorities, right?
Obligations, right?
Priorities. Like first to the household of faith. First to your, God. You can't cut God out. Then
Yeah.
to your spouse, then to your children, then to the household of faith.
Sure. Yeah,
You
you
know,
have to
and
make
then
sure you
The
have
immediate needs, maybe even your own neighborhood when you're doing outreach or so, and it has to all be directed by the Spirit. It's not a formula, but God might birth that in their heart, right? To go and do that.
Yeah, but
one
it
of those
starts
ministries.
affecting your family and your faith because I've seen that, right?
But God also sometimes redeems things through messy circumstances. Like there have been very many, when you go look at missionary stories, I'm not saying that I would promote it, but I think maybe sometimes even in their ignorance, they went and did something and God still, even though it was messy, God blessed it. So, it's like you can't really, I do think we should equip our kids to be wise to those things, but I'm just saying, if you never take any risks either, and you're always protecting, then you might limit God's calling on your life too, right? So it's just a little bit. Anyway, so okay, and so when you don't invite somebody, are you saying that person has less value?
No.
What?
No.
No. And unless there's a very clear moral issue that you can help them understand, which you should help them understand, if you're able to, we don't have to frame it as moral. Do you understand that? We can just say, it's like, maybe it's like, I just don't have that much grace in my life right now. You might not want to say it that way because that wouldn't be very gracious, but my energy is like, no vacancy is a good way to say. I just don't have vacancy for that, or the chemistry is just different, or we're close in this other, I'm a little bit closer to that person. They might want to know why, and I think telling them why does depend a little bit on the person, because maybe that person can handle that kind of honesty, and maybe they can't. Right? But I think that usually when we'll get to that, but when they come to the congregation meeting, do you think we should treat them so now it's not during the week, it's not a private event. Now we're at a group event for purposes of our faith. Do you think that person should have any differences socially in that group event? So for like a Sabbath meeting.
No.
Do you think that you should just hang out with the people that you feel more interested in at the Sabbath meeting?
No, you just, sure you can, but like, I don't know.
What do you think, Archie?
hang out with whoever you hang out with, I guess. I don't know.
Well, what do you think at a Sabbath meeting? Should you just carry on with the people that you feel more drawn to?
No. You can just hang out with people that approach you.
All right, so you let people come to you more than you approach people. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if everyone approaches everyone, so if you want to talk to someone, you go talk to them, and then if they want to talk to you, they come talk to you. It's not like you're like go there and like, oh, I'm on a mission to go talk to this person.
So you're saying don't make a mission out of somebody that might feel left out.
Yeah. Wait.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I don't think we've experienced that. So I don't know.
You don't think you've experienced that?
No.
Okay, well, I do think that I don't think you need to make it like obvious that you're on a mission, but I do think if you know that somebody might feel left out, it's nice to like in a courteous way go out of your way to make them feel included, right?
Yeah.
If it's just a one day event, like we're together for Sabbath or if we're together for a feast, even, and everyone's there, I think that's a pretty perfect time. Like you had all week to have someone over if you wanted to, right? Or whatever. I mean, I know we have other things on the go, but you had other parts of your life where you can kind of have one off with somebody. So at the group event, personally, I think that everyone should try to include everyone. There might be a logistical thing, like let's say the teens are playing a sport and the younger kids want to play. Well, you can't really play the sport. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, we'll play the next round with you guys, right? Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there's not enough chairs. So you might have to forfeit the chair and let someone else have the chair. It would be very nice if you're the charitable person, no pun intended, and you defer to the other person. You accommodate the other person and take the low seat because it's we're there for the purpose of faith, right? We're not there for the purpose of building your social personal life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? We're building God's house. So, and I mean, we're doing that all times, but I don't think somebody needs to feel singled out in those kind of situations, right? So they're all welcome in that. So you can see the difference in the different contexts there? You too, Archie?
Yep.
I think if you guys manage yourselves well, I just want to say that then there doesn't really need to be much of a conversation. But if you're kind of like trying to like sneak away from somebody, or you know, you say one thing but really you meant another thing, so you're kind of being a bit deceptive or manipulative, or if I saw patterns of things that were warning signs as a parent about your behavior or your thought processes, I would intervene and maybe change up how you thought things were going to go. But as a general rule, if you guys are able to mitigate those and like discern your way through those situations, I try not to intervene too much. But do you think that it would be a healthy faith community if we only let people come that we liked?
So,
No,
No. Why?
because you gotta do outreach.
Yeah, like you gotta get beyond yourself. But even if it's like, even if it's somebody that is very faithful, they might not be your, like you said, you might not have the best chemistry with them, but that doesn't mean they're not faithful to God, right? They might even be more faithful than you, or more godly, but they're just not like the right match for your personality, or even things like people's humor. Sometimes, you know, might make people want to hang out with certain people more because they like to joke around more, and other people are just more serious. Humor, even people's like IQ. Sometimes people like to just keep things a little bit lighter and easier, and some people are very, you know, they're always trying to like figure something out and get to the bottom of something. But there's different. I will say the IQ test is kind of stupid because it just measures certain parts of like more like booky kind of things. But people can be very emotionally intelligent. Some people are not as emotionally intelligent. That's still an IQ thing. It's an emotional IQ. You know what I mean? Or practical, like hands-on. Some people, their IQ is very motor skilled. And so yeah, anyways, okay, so which might impact whether you want to play sports with someone as much or something, right? So it's just kind of interesting. Do you think if somebody asks you why they're being discluded, that you should have to tell them the true answer why?
Yeah.
You think yes?
Depends how bold you are.
Depends on how bold you are.
Yeah.
Do you think you should be allowed to say something that's not true?
No.
No.
Do you think you should be able to give them, like, maybe if you had like 4 reasons why, but one of them isn't like the real reason, it's just like a supporting evidence? Do you think you should be able to give them that reason as the reason?
Yeah, I guess so. 'Cause
No.
it is. Well, yeah, because it is a reason.
But then if you were able to eliminate that reason, it looks like you've lied because that wasn't the real reason.
No one thinks like this when they go do it.
What?
I know, it's true. You just talk.
Yeah, people do, because sometimes when somebody gives you an answer, you're like, that's just an excuse. When you hear someone say that's just an excuse.
That's because they're making excuses.
But it might be a supporting evidence.
Why don't they just tell you straight out?
Well, because they weren't as bold, like you said.
If everyone was straight up, then you wouldn't have second guessing.
Yeah, there would be no second guessing if everyone was straight up. So a straight up answer would be, well, I'd rather not talk about it, if you didn't want to say it, right?
That's kind of weird.
That's weird. So what if you were like, well, the reason why is because
That means you're insecure.
you're what's that? Well, imagine you said to someone, well, you're just not as developed, like, emotionally, and I find your emotional energy really draining. What if you said that to someone?
Would be fine.
I think that it is actually a great idea to be completely straight up. If you say it really, really nicely, you prayed about it beforehand, you gave them the dignity of telling them without like a group audience, maybe you even let them have, in your case it might be the parent there, somebody that could support them in hearing it, or one of their friends or something. And you gave feedback with examples, so it's not just because that's just what you think, but you had some examples, like, why would you want to do that?
Do what?
Why would you want to tell somebody that? Hard thing to say.
So they know what you think about them?
Maybe they can make an adjustment, because have we not all made lots of adjustments based on feedback? And if nobody highlighted it to us, we might not have known, right? And then we never made the adjustment, we never got a chance to try again. Right? You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody is discluded in a certain event, do you think that it's a good idea to maybe try to come up with another event? Or like
Depends on the circumstances.
where you can rotate it or switch it or do something different with them? Do you think you're required to do that?
No.
No. Do you think that's a nice thing to do?
Yeah. It depends on the circumstances, though. Like, it might be nice to involve that person, but if you involve that person, you might have to eliminate 5 other people.
Yeah, you might have to eliminate other people because, right, so you might just take that person out for, a little thing, because maybe it's easier for you to just do that one person on their own and just bless them like that.
Yeah.
But that would be a nice thing to do, right? Just so they still know, okay, they care about me, and like, it's just like a dynamic. The dynamics are different. So they're rotating, a bit of rotation. That's a nice way to kind of, because we're trying to make sure everybody is healthy and everybody's growing and everybody understands as much as they can without leaving people behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or leaving people out. Do you understand? But then also without forcing things. So, do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so lots of times people will talk about like, in Matthew 18 it says, if your brother sins against you, go to him, see if you can win them. If you can't, bring one other person. If you can't, bring the congregation. And if they don't hear you, then put them out of the congregation. Do you think we're talking about that?
No.
No, because we're not talking about necessarily like somebody sinning against you, like an intent of sinning against you. It's like we're talking about little blind spots or little development differences, or maybe just differences that aren't even anything like that. They're just different interests, different energy, different circadian rhythm, different strengths and weaknesses in different intelligences, different humor, different whatever. There's a lot of things that make us kind of familiar, even just things that are familiar to us. Like maybe something feels more like your home or your upbringing.
Yep.
Okay. So I just wanted to have a conversation about those things, just so you guys are understanding of that. You guys can be gracious. Hopefully, Lord willing. You make your lunch.
In video.